Oh, okay. Looks like we're back. We're making a new thing. If you're seeing this, I managed to wrangle my attention long enough to complete another project. Not a thing I'm good at doing usually, but when I'm talking about something I love, it comes as naturally as breathing. My passion for Yume Nikki was so strong, it carried me to make a video about Yume Nikki Online Project. Thank you all for the wonderful comments, by the way. Y'all are awesome. Yume Nikki Online Project, or YNO, was a fantastic way to revisit a captivating experience alongside others. I made my video based on my interest, and I considered it done. Well, turns out I'm not done, because I'm a stickler for details and I obsess too much over small details that a niche amount of people actually care about. I gave a sweeping overview of the site and its features, but as for its history...
Yume Nikki Online is a project started by 3 developers. According to Maru on the Discord, they handle the server, Flashfire Dev or Sam handles the front end, and Alec handles the engine.
Well, pretty much nothing. As it turns out, YNO actually had a bit of a journey to get to the state it's currently in. And the features I talked about in the first video stemmed from conditions I was previously not privy to until now. With some help from the devs themselves, I can now show you all how Yume Nikki Online got started, where it went, and at the end of the video, more of where it's going. This video is...
The history of Yume Nikki multiplayer projects.
And also sort of why Yume Nikki Online is the only big one right now.
Fair warning, this video is probably going to be a lot drier than my first one, so not as many wacky memes or whatever, but I do hope it will be just as entertaining. Let's get started, shall we? So I noted in my first video about Yume Nikki Online that there were 3 devs working on the project. But did you know that they were working off of code from an entirely different person? That's right, this story starts 2 years ago, and it starts on Reddit. On the afternoon of November 6, 2021, user ImaginaryHall4293, later known as Twig33 on Discord, posted on r/Yume Nikki. Title says it all, my beloved Reddit friends. Here's the link. The link doesn't really lead to anything anymore, but one can assume this was the earliest iteration of Yume Nikki multiplayer. The next 2 edits were the client and server code, and with that, the start of bigger and better things. The project that would eventually become Yume Nikki Online had different devs for each game working on multiplayer implementation. One of the current devs, Maru, set up LCD DEM Online, and it went live November 18th, 2021 after posting it on the Discord group. LCD DEM was a fan game made by developer Karomba that became popular due to its soundtrack and unique collectibles, but it was later taken off the web, and the creator asked that no one distribute it ever again. At the time of release, things were, well, basic. Well, for the time being, it was functional. 2 other developers, Twig33 and Ottoman, were also running their own online clients, working on Yume Nikki and Tuki respectively. On November 22nd, 2021, .flow also found itself added to the list of games supported as well, after receiving permission from the original developer lol Rust. This was the early days of Yume Nikki multiplayer. At the time, JS scripts allowed for highly chaotic happenings, letting users control game data in unintended ways, and even allowed them to change their player sprites. For the most part, however, it was functional. Players could see each other in the worlds, so the community banded together to explore, an activity called tours. As one would expect, the player base was small but tight-knit as word of mouth spread slowly across the Yume Nikki community. Progress was happening steadily to improve the service in the meantime. But bad news loomed the following month for Tuki servers. In the early hours of December 3rd, 2021, Yuga Menina, an admin of the Discord, posted the following message. A few days ago, we had talks with some of Tuki's core developers, and numerous key issues were brought to our attention. It was made clear to us that some people in the team were against having their content distributed in this manner without prior permission. Considering the way permission to use other people's intellectual property is treated in Japan also takes the time and effort put into such things into account, since to them, getting permission isn't just some act of politeness, but more a form of business relationship, according to one of the devs. adding to the fact that it has been observed time after time that some creatives in Japan usually respond to unauthorized circulation of their work by making all of their content unavailable to the public. Because of all of these, disheartening as it may be, we have decided that we will be closing the doors to Tuki and LCD DEM Online this Sunday. Whether we like it or not, we have no other option but to understand and respect the developers' best interests, especially for the sake of the future of their creations that we all appreciate and enjoy, along with their underlying communities. 2 days later, on December 5th, 2021, both games would unfortunately be taken off the service. The day of the shutdown, a final tour was held by the devs and community, which was high in attendance. The devs added a countdown to the top of the page, counting down to the moment of shutdown. Until the very last moments, players gathered in the Nexus, watching together as LCD DEM was removed and Yume Nikki was taken offline, seemingly for good. Despite the shutdown, Yume Nikki and .flow were still on the site, and work continued on the project. To make up for the loss, December 6 saw the addition of 2 fan games, Someday and Deep Dreams. Someday is a fan game originally developed by Jojo Gape in 2012, and featured the character Itsuki exploring his dreams. It features not just a set of effects, but also a series of actions that would unlock secrets called feats, and 7 crystals that could also be collected. Deep Dreams is a fan game originally developed by Noildoof earlier in 2021. Deep Dreams is fairly traditional in terms of gameplay, starring Mariana as she sleeps in her bed and explores her dream world. The addition of a run button makes exploration much more convenient through its melancholic dreamscapes. December 7th, the following day, saw Answered Prayers added to the service. This fan game was originally developed by Clowfur back in 2010. It features a young girl named Florette seeking shelter in a shrine, exploring the spirit world via prayer. It's a fairly unique take on a spirit world that spans from beautiful forests to crowded neon city streets. Updates on the Discord remain fairly quiet for the next few days, outside of mention of another group, Yume Buru, hosting Yume Nikki multiplayer against the Tuki dev team's wishes. This action would play into the next 2 updates, an important point in the site's history. On December 16th, the old site of nexus.kakami would redirect to the current site that is used to this day, and the project would now go under the name YNO Project. 2 days later, on December 18th, YNO announced that they would once again host Yume Nikki on their service, this time with the developers' express permission. According to Maru, they had been talking with the Tuki dev team to try and get permission to host their game again. In the middle of the talks, the Tuki dev team noticed Yume Buru hosting Yume Nikki Online completely against their wishes, and the team agreed to give Yume Nikki Online Project their blessing. However, they were required to follow certain guidelines. YNO Project was not allowed to directly alter gameplay or code, and they were not allowed to implement skins for the player character. With those guidelines settled, and in the good graces of the Tuki dev team, the game came back to their service, stronger than ever. By this time, Ottoman had stopped working on Tuki Online, leaving Sam, Maru, and Alec to improve the project. And improve they did. At the start of 2022, a few more navigation features were added to make exploration even easier. On the 1st of January, a location indicator was added to the top of the chat box, allowing for quick access to the corresponding wiki page. A few days later, on January 5th, a map button was added to pull up a full-screen map of the current area, making navigation of large areas much easier. During this time, localization for multiple languages was also added to the front end. YNO Project was now available in Spanish, Russian, Portuguese, French, Chinese, and Korean, allowing for people from multiple countries all around the world to play together easily. With this and the ability to download and upload saves added a couple days earlier, YNO Project was very quickly becoming fully featured. On January 6th, the fan game Illusion was added. This was a French fan game developed by Team Capote back in 2019, and is a very traditional style fan game featuring Danae, a girl trying to stay awake by looking through her photo album. A few weeks later, on January 27th, support for single-player mode was added, allowing for users to play the games hosted without using YNO Project's online features. A welcome addition given how finicky these games can be to run. January 31st saw the addition of Uneven Dream to YNO Project. Much like Yume Nikki, Uneven Dream is a collaborative fan game made by many developers and started development in 2015. Its main draw is that it features not one, but two protagonists, Kobutsuki and Totsuki, each with their own selection of dream worlds to explore. It's still pretty early in development, but it's very charming, and I find the art style to be much more consistent between the artists and the collaboration. February 8th saw an update that added global chat, finally letting users talk to each other no matter where they were in the dream world. Coordination with other people was easier than ever. Later that month, on February 25th, Brain Girl was added to the service. Brain Girl is a fan game made by DMN and released the day before. Brain Girl stars Mikan, a lucid dreamer. It has a fairly unorthodox nexus and features some nice vistas. While fairly small in terms of content, it's packed with events and interesting things to see. March 5th gave YNO a set of unique, and in my opinion cute, Yume Nikki themed emojis to use, internally called YNO emojis. Finally, something to spam in global chat. This is a joke, please do not spam these in any chat. But forming groups would reach its pinnacle on March 12th with the introduction of the party system. Both public and private, these groups allowed you to have a separate chat group and keep track of where everyone in your party was. Yume Nikki Online enjoyed a period of growth over the weeks, and by March 30th, 1,000 members had joined the Discord group. This was followed by a survey on April 10th, which would reveal a new and significant addition. Expeditions were added. This system was depth-based, and would choose between two relatively shallow worlds per day, with a deep world chosen weekly, and medium-deep worlds chosen for the weekend. Completing these would reward EXP. Expeditions were actually one of many ideas the devs had at attempting to further gamify the experience, and add features while still following the guidelines given by the Tuki dev team. This would be expanded upon later. While other games were being implemented and minor updates were coming out, thoughts went back to navigation within Tuki. The world count was quickly passing 600, and wiki mapping your journey involves a lot of open tabs. It was clear that a Tuki map was needed. This was an issue that Sam had been trying to work on for a while, as far back as May 2015 in fact. The first attempt was just a static image map where the nodes represented the size of the map in tiles, but this idea was too big and hard to connect with so many nodes, so this was quickly replaced with a second version. By Sam's words, because I do not know anything about programming, the second attempt was a web app that would automatically update when the wiki did. But this idea was difficult to develop given his level of experience at the time. The final attempt is the Explorer we have now, a map that updates from the wiki as a source, and includes all kinds of data like the version the map first appeared, its author, its depth in the dream world relative to the Nexus, and more. It was technically first available in 2020, but by the time he, committed add Tuki Explorer API proxy API endpoint. Basically that means they just added a button. Anyway, by the time they added a direct button on April 20th, 2022, the Explorer was a powerful navigational tool that not only made long trips easier to chart, it also helped with coordinating tour routes to make it easier to follow for everyone. A huge boom for YNO's popularity. The following update built upon this desire. April 25th saw the release of a badge gallery. Badges are unlockable, badges that would be displayed beside your username and displayed in a gallery. Updates over the next few days would improve functionality and add expedition ranking categories. These would track various stats for each account and place them on a leaderboard. With all of these changes, YNO finally had the competitive engagement I already talked about in the first video. While this gets us pretty much to the state of the project as it exists now, there are a few more updates to cover. On November 11th, users from all around gathered in the Nexus. Why? Group photo, of course! This photo would be used as the unofficial custom wallpaper for YNO. A week later, on November 18th, Muma Rope was added. Starring the titular Muma, this fan game sets itself apart from the others in a few ways. There is no real-world starting location, and the menu is not accessible. Instead, players will explore entirely in her unconscious mind and collect items known as memories to change the admittedly bleak ending. It also diversifies in gameplay styles. One world features a sword you can use to attack enemies in 2D Zelda-style combat, and there's even an entire world set around side-scrolling 2D platforming. This fan game is dark in its own way, but I find it is balanced out very well with some serene, even beautiful areas between. December 9th would see another addition in the form of Dream Genie. Dream Genie is a fan game made by Chinese developer Tan Den, starring Chu Chen? Chu Chen enters the dream world via mirror, and from there, it's kinda weird. There are 22 delusions to collect, usual for fan games, but there's also a pet care system, sort of, and going into some worlds changes your appearance. There's a sub-nexus as well. This one is a bit unorthodox, and I haven't explored it much, but it is certainly unique. A few months later, on February 10th, 2023, another game was added, Mikan Muzo. This is a fan game made by Harinezumi, who also developed the fan game Debris. Shotaro is the star of this game, sleeping on his couch to explore his dreams and collect effects. This one is definitely one of the darker games on display, somewhere between Dot Flow and the original Yume Nikki. The contents of Shotaro's dreams indicate a troubled past, maybe even delinquent. It has a decent amount of content, and multiple endings as well. April 30th, 2023 brought with it the latest game supported, Ultraviolet. This is a Japanese fan game made by creator Gozo Ra back in 2020, starring Sometsuki, who I swear looks like Homura Akemi. This fan game skews heavily towards the cute. The game's tone is largely lighthearted and features a ton of cozy, vibrant worlds to explore, only occasionally underscored by a foreboding or scary area. A personal favorite fan game of mine and an excellent addition to the roster. I recommend this one. The last update occurred on July 17th, 2023. This update adds an option to overlay chat onto the game window itself, a more compact layout to keep chat in visual focus. This can be configured to display global chat, or only party chat to keep communication clear. Of course, if you'd prefer to only keep chat in chat box, this can be turned off entirely as well. And that would be it. Except I'm slow, and another feature came out. The last significant update was added on July 26, 2023, and it introduced the Yume Navigator. This works as a mini explorer underneath chat that displays your current world and all the connections to it. It hides worlds you haven't seen yet to avoid spoiling new discoveries as well. It's a wonderful way to check if you're on the right path or to clean up unknown worlds for completion's sake. Wow, okay, so that's absolutely every important update I could think of for the Yume Nikki Online Project. For a project that has really only been around with that name for a year, a lot has happened. And of course, there's still more to come. I've heard devs talk of some more games supported on their service, and if the files on GitHub are of any indication, Collective Unconscious might be due to drop soon as well. Collective Unconscious is a collaborative fan game created by the Yume Nikki Online community, and will be fully integrated with all of Yume Nikki Online's features. Exciting stuff for the community, to not only have their own exclusive fan game, but one made by people they regularly interact with. What can we learn from all this? I don't know, history, I guess. What do I look like, your dad? I just find this stuff fascinating. And hopefully you do too. Hopefully now you know how complicated making all this stuff is, so, you know, appreciate it. Throw devs a bone. Or a word of thanks. Maybe don't throw them the bone. Where did you get that? That's kind of weird, dude. Another video down. Man, it is fun when you're not constantly stressing about it. Sorry to say for all of you Yume Nikki fans, I probably won't make another video about it until Collective Unconscious comes out. I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket, so if I do make something else, it'll be about another topic entirely. Look forward to that whenever I actually get around to it. Until then, I'll see you when I see ya.